Hi everyone, let's start now. Let me drop the URL to the chat window. You can now open and read it if you want to. Okay, make sure I'm not muted. Good. Okay, this is the last lesson of the fourth term. So I think it's time to review what we have learned so far. Okay, I think we learned a lot about Java programming. We should pause in the review. We will continue to learn more things, more advanced topics in spring. If you like, you can register the same course and continue. I encourage you to do that. But for some reason, if you cannot make it or don't like to continue, that's fine too. What we learned so far, will build a very good foundation for you in your future career whenever, in case you want to do some programming related work. Okay, let's review. Syntax. The Java, when you write a Java program, the basic syntax is you need this line and call a public class, and then class name. That's the name you pick. Remember, for this class name, the first letter has to be uppercase. For whatever reason, but that's the rule. And then the next line is the public is a method called a may. It has to be may, cannot change that name. And the string array, we just learned arrays in last lesson. So this is to pass the command line. And by the way, this is required only if the Java program you write is a standalone application program. Some cases like in the web server, if you write Java program for web server, you may not need this main method. That's more advanced topic. So otherwise, then inside the main, then that's all the lines you need to write. Okay, so this is a basic syntax. The next thing we learned is comments, and the comments is in every programming language, not just Java. Because when you write a program, no matter what language you pick, you need a way to disable some line or put some node along the code lines, so you can remind yourself what your thinking is, why you code in such a way. Also, tell your other programmers or your coworkers the same thing. Okay, so make yourself and the others, make it easier, for everyone to read your code. The comments, you can use either double forward slashes in front of the line at the beginning of the line, or you can use a slash star and then whatever line or comments you will put there, and then ending with star slash. So then that will come out either single line or multiple lines. And after comments, we learned the variables, Java variables. The basic syntax to declare or define a Java variable is you start with type, of course, the type, we will learn the type, and then variable name, you pick any name. And then if you want, you can assign a value. That's called a initialization. Or you can, this equal and the initialization is optional on this line. You can, just declare this variable and later on you assign value to it. That's the syntax. I list a few examples here, like the type is string. Let's say you want to put a name called a variable name called a name to put some person name. What you call it? Yeah, first name something. You put a name there, double quote it. Or another type is int. Let's say it's age. It's an int number or float. Let's see the values with period with dot or floating a point or floating digits, and then you can, I think, optionally add an F to it to indicate that the value is a float. Okay. Now you can use char, char, or stands for character, to define a single character. Normally you use a single quote. Or that's another type called a boolean. Boolean is either true or false, so either true or false. Are you a student? True or false? Is this answer correct? True or false? Something like that. And data types we learned byte. That's 1 byte long. Char, I think a 2 byte. Short is 2 or 4 byte. Int is 4 byte. The long, I think that's 2 bytes. 4 bytes, 8 bytes. Double, float, boolean, so on. Oh, because the different data types, they can convert to between them. There's two ways to convert is, one is a widening casting or conversion. Let's say from byte to short, to char, to int, long, float, double. That's called a widening. This is kind of automatic. You can just assign a byte to a short, assign the value of a char to an int something. It will do the automatic conversion. There's a narrowing casting, then it's manual. That means you have to specifically say, hey, I'm a double, I want to convert to float. Then you have to put this in front of this double value to convert it into float. Okay. Java operators. This is primarily for the math. Yeah, for math or for comparison. Arithmetic operators, plus, minus, time, division, modulus, double plus as the increment, double minus as decrement by 1. And assignment operators, you assign one value to another to a variable. So there's equal sign, that's just assign the value to that. And the plus equal, that means you add something to the value and then assign that to the variable and then assign the result to the same variable name. And the same for others. Comparison operators that's useful in the logics or in the, remember those if, else, or while, those condition check. So this is equal, not equal, greater than, less than, greater than, or equal to, or less than, or equal to. And finally, the last operator group is called a logical. It's not compare. It's like an and or not. So basically, it's a true is true, true and a false. So false. The or means true or true. Of course, is true. True or false is true. Something like that. Not is like if it's true, not is false. If it's a false, then not false is true. Oh, the math class. Java comes with a math class predefined. You don't have to write anything. It's called a library class. You can just use it. And it has long list of math functions you can just use. Okay. Yeah. You can look up always look up the Java math library or functions to pick the one you need. So you don't have to, that way you don't have to write your own code. Okay. Java strings. A string variable normally, is something, some text within double quotes. And a string, since is a non-primitive data type, is actually a class. So it has actually methods. It has many methods. One of them is the string length, or how many characters in the string. So if you just call the string variable dot length, then you get this that count. And then, for example, to uppercase. So if you have a string mix of lowercase or just lowercase or even just uppercase, you say, hey, I want all uppercase version of this string. Then you just call this one. On the upside is I want all lowercase of this string. Then you just call this function. And this one I say, oh, I want to find something in this string, single character or short substring or some text, multiple characters. Then you can use the index of to find the location or position. Remember this string, the first one is 0 and second one is 1, third one is 2, something like that. You get the position. And with that position, you can call substring to get a part of the string, and with that start position and the length. In string, there's sometimes you need to put something into a string, like something like not ABC or 1, 2, 3. You put something like a special character. You want to keep that character there. Then you can use a backslash as a escape character to indicate that, okay, this character is special, but keep it, don't do anything on it. Don't throw away or don't let that run as a command or something. So then just keep that as just a character, then you can use backslash. And then the backslash with some special letter that's called an escape sequence. It means something different. Like backslash A means I want to add a new line. This string and backslash A means, oh, here's a new line. When you print the text after this line, after this on the next line, not on the same line. So that's new. And R is similar. That's a return. T, that's tab, like normally 7 space character. Now B, I think is what can that be? Yeah, it was B. Escape characters. String reference, uppercase. I saw the special characters are here. Maybe here. Oh, backspace is right. Oops, backspace. Almost like delete key. You want to delete a character from a string, you put a FB, and when you turn up, it will, make the letter from in front of this backslash B disappear. Okay. Real part. That's a string. Oh, if statement. If statement syntax is if parentheses and a condition. If the condition is true, then do something. So they do something. So this is a conditional statements. And relate to if, if this, else that. So that means if this is true, do this. If not true, that means else, then do something else. That's else. And then else if means that make the, not single if else, that like a multiple, if condition 1, do this code block 1. Else if condition 2 is true, then do another block instead. And or you can else if condition 3 and so on, you can make a long list until you run out of condition checks and say, after all, if none of them is true, then do this. This is default. Okay, do something just like else to catch on. And switch statements. Similar to the if else, else if something, then you can use a switch actually. You can evaluate the expression here. If the value match case X, then do something and a break. If the value equals to Y, then do this block and break, and so on. And then if the value matches none of them, then this is default, do this. Okay. So remember the syntax: switch, expression, case, break, default. While loop is there are different types of loops. While loop. So while this condition is true, then do something and then come back and check the condition again. If the condition is still true, and then do that and then come back, check again until the condition is false, then end the loop. Then do while loop is the while loop. That means you check the condition first, and the do while loop is okay. Start with the code, do something first, and then check condition. So at least you do once. Then do that once. If the condition is false, then that's it, done. If not, if it's still true, then go back and do the second time, third time, keep looping back. For loop. For loop is when you know how many loops you need. Okay, how many loops you need. You know that exact number, 5 loops, 10 loops, whatever, but different from the while. The while is like you cannot predict how many loops you need. You have to just check the condition. But the for loop is how many times, so you start with one or first loop, and then check the condition, and then change your change the indicator value. So otherwise, it's going to be infinite loops. So that's, exactly how many number. Normally it's by this one, determine this one. Then there's a for loop. For for loop, I think that normally involve array, right? Involve array. You have array of number of elements. You want to loop through the whole array, then you can just like do this one for, and then pick a local variable, any variable, give a type. The type should match the type in the array. So then this will go through each element from first one, second one, and then do something. So that's a loop. Or you can just use a for loop, because you can call the array length property, the array length, so you know how many elements the array has, and then just use a for loop. The difference is that in for loop, you access the array, the element with the array name, and then square bracket, and then the index value. And for each loop, they copy the value to this variable, so you don't have to use the index to access the variable. Okay, that's for loop. Oh, break statements, right? When you have a for loop, and you print something, and the scientist said, that's at a certain point, and I break the loop or stop the loop. No more looping back. So you can check whatever condition and then break out that all the way to end. So the for loop and the break, that's the loop part of the loops. Then break statement in while loop. You while that, do something, and then check it, break. In the while loop, actually, it just break once, just skip one value, and then continue back. So this thing like a skip one, and this thing like a skip bunch, skip from this loop all the way to the last loop. So that's the difference. And then we learned Java arrays. So again, the syntax is the array can be any type of array, strings, string, int, float, double, even Boolean. Yeah. And then there's a square bracket, that's indication of an array, and then space, and then array name. You can pick any name, of course, and equal to curly braces and individual element, and separated by commas. So again, to access array, this is a single dimensional array. So it's just like to get the value of an element, you just say the array name and then the index value. Again, the first element, for first element, the index value is 0. Okay. And again, array length, if you array dot length, no parentheses actually, it's a property, it's not a method. Then you can get the how many elements in an array. To loop through array, as just mentioned above, use that for loop. Oh, I think I missed something here. I didn't finish that, did I? Yep. Oh, you know why I finished, but sometime in the web page, the less than sign, you cannot just use it less than sign. Or maybe you can add a space to, it's better to use the special HTML web syntax called ampersand, less than, semicolon, and that. That will print a less than symbol and then, keep the rest. Otherwise, we got this, like less than or gone. So that's just this a web. It's not a Java, it's a web. Fix that. And loop through array with for each loop, we just mentioned that here. And multi-dimensional array. Yeah, you can have an array of arrays. So this is an array of multiple smaller arrays. Not necessarily smaller. It just contain an array. Contain, each element is an array. So that's an array of array. To access that, use two index. The first index is the index value of each array, and the second one is each element in each subarray. And last thing we learned is the command line arguments. It's just like back to the very beginning, string arrays, string array. Yeah, we call it args. It's actually called arguments or parameters, command line parameters, command line options, command line arguments. All three things mean the same thing, actually. Okay, that's a command line. I think that's a review. Now let's do a project together. Okay, let's do a project together. The project what we are going to do together is actually a command line calculator. Something like this. And say, okay, calculator. We call it a calculator. Just calculate. Yeah, calculate. Calculate 1 plus 2. Actually 2, and tell me the result. Okay, let's see how we can do that. Instead of typing the things, so we create a calculate file. As usual, we need this. This is the class name called a calculate, and this is a main, and this is the arguments. So you can see that if you run the program, you want to pass these 3 arguments separated by space characters. So that's called a 3 calculators. So you need a 3 calculator, 3 arguments. So the first thing is first, right? So we know the arguments we're going to get. We want to check, since this is an array, we have this length property we just reviewed. If the array length, that means the number of arguments is less than 3. That means I need a 1, I need a 2, 1, 2, 3 arguments. If you enter, you just give me 2, or just give me 1, or give me nothing, then I cannot calculate. I don't know what to do, right? I need a first operands, second is operation, and the second operand. So we need 2 operands and 1 operator. Then we can do a calculation. That's why the first thing is first. I say this is if logic, right? If statements. Say, okay, if I find that the arguments you tell me is less than 3, then I'm going to just return. Means because this is a function, you can return. Return means end of the function. No more, just stop. Don't do anything else. Just return to the beginning of the function. Then before I return, I print error. Say, please provide me 3 arguments. Right? I need 3 arguments to do the calculation. So that's what this part is doing. And if you do give me 3, arguments. If I do get a 3, that means I'm here, I'm okay. If it's not a 3, then I return, I just stop. And if I do get a 3, I print out, okay, I received arguments. I print out, it's a way to verify that, okay, the first element is the first operand, is 1. Add a space, and I don't know, I don't add some extra so we can visually read it. And okay, second argument is 1, is actually second argument should be this operand, this plus, minus, it's the operation, not operand, the operation. And then I need the second operand, that's the third argument. So I print them out. So I can verify that I get the right things I need, right? Okay. Since this is a math, we probably want to use a double variable called a result, the calculation result, to store the calculation, the final result, the value. Okay. You can add a space. You need put a 0 as the default value. That may not be exactly correct, but it's okay. Here's the critical part, switch. Let's see, we got, because depending on the type of operation we got, we need to do different calculation. So we have to check the second argument. So arg1 is the second argument. And the in case is plus sign. And we want to add those 2 together. You may ask, oh, can I do something like this? argument 0 plus argument 2. You cannot actually, you cannot do that. See, the error is cannot convert from string to double. So remember the plus sign, if you provide strings to the operator plus, it just concatenate the two strings. You know, if you provide 1 or 2, that means you will get just a 1 and a 2 as a string, because in command line, the argument, you think you put an integer, but it treated the Java program treats the argument, all 3 arguments as string. So it's just like here, you know, they add that. It just you print out them as string, not integer or double or float. So that's why this is a syntax error here. So the right way to do it is next. It's like, okay, I got a, you know, it's 1 is integer, but I think that's string. I treat that string. If you think it's an integer, you really want to convert to a integer or double, then you have to call this called a double. That's a double class. That's dot parse double. So that what this function does is to, okay, I got a string. I'm going to read the value of that string and then parse it. Parse means convert it. Convert that string to a double. So this whole thing will be a double and convert it from the string I read from the command line. So in case of 1, so it will convert string 1, you know, 1 double quoted string 1 to a double value is going to be 1.0d. And similarly for the second, you know, operand or the third element or third argument, it does the same thing. And now since you got a 1 double, another double with a plus sign, then that's a calculation, that's a math addition instead of string concatenation. All right, so you cannot do that. That's not correct. So you have to convert string to double and add them and save the result to result, and the result is double, and save that for later to print out the result here, back here, okay? So in case it's plus, and just case that and do that and then break, and those lines will be skipped and all the way to here. And the print out result. The result is, oh, the \n, remember that's a new line. So you want to add an empty line around the result line, make it more readable. So just like here, I say, okay, you ask me to calculate this plus that, and equal to the result. Okay, so let's give it a try. Actually, let's save it. Remember, oh yeah, you cannot just run that because that in that way you don't know how to enter the arguments. So you have to write from the command line. First is to compile the program, Java. Okay, next to run it. If you just run it without giving any argument, watch this. Please provide 3 arguments. That's exactly here. Please provide 3 argument and return. Yes, no more. That's it. And stop here. Just so it's a way to protect the program. I'll say, okay, give you argument and return. It still say, please provide 3 arguments. If you give it a 1, cannot trick it. And say, okay, now still asking until you, if you say, oh, about that, then that's still 3 because it passed the whole thing, use the space as delimiter or separate to separate them into different strings. So if you don't leave any space, then that's considered as one string. So you can do that. Or you can do multiple space. So I think it use as long as space, it's just looking for the next non-space. So you can leave multiple space. In that way, it really, one. So that's this one. So argument 0, that's 1. Args1, that's the plus sign, and args2 is the second value, that's 2. Okay. And then it check that, okay, that's plus, do the addition and print out this line. That's exactly this one. So arg0 plus, arg0, arg1, arg2 equal to result. That's 3. Remember 3.0 because we save it into double. And the extra space is from the back end here and the back end here. So an empty line here, empty line here. And for that one, also we added empty line backslash n. Okay. Okay, that's that. And since this program doesn't care about the more arguments, it just care about the first one, second one, third one. Then if you say, oh, how about I give another argument? It doesn't care. How about give one more? They ignore them, so it doesn't care. It just read the first one, second one, third one. Okay. Okay, good. Then now you got the idea. Okay, what if I gave the minus? Minus. So if you do that, then says, okay, the args1 is now minus, then do the value string to double conversion and then do the minus. To the minus. And save that to result and then print out. See, that's y minus 2. And plus, plus multiply. So in case it's star, in case the operation is star, then do that thing, multiply the two value and save it and then print out. Like this. What? Received arguments, received only one, and then that thing is a operation not recognized. Yeah, that's this basically. Okay, argument 1, nothing. Because it says I received one argument. I don't know the rest. And then if it's not none of those, then the operation is not recognized. So just quit. So what happened is, for some reason, to Java program, the start or wildcard is a special thing. So in order to tell Java, say that's a star, that means multiply, not something else. Then you can put the backslash. Remember the escape sequence. Put a backslash to tell Java this is a star. This is a star. Then to multiply. See what happens. Okay. Now I say, oh, okay. So it's to multiply. And it does that. Of course, 1 multiplied 2 is still 2. It says, oh, is that correct or what? Then we can change the 1 to something else, and then we can verify that. How about 5? That would be 10, right? There you go, bingo. So that's 2. So that's the multiply. So this is kind of special. And then this one is division. I want to divide the first one by the second one. Just do that. For division, just slash. Java is not that special. / is not that special. Backward is. So / no problem. 5 divided by 2, 2.5, right? Yeah, that's how we use the you know the knowledge we got, we learned, and we can easily write something fun, right? You can add more actually. Let's expand this thing. To expand this calculator, you say, oh yeah, minus, yeah, plus minus time division. That's too, yeah, too basic. Let's make it more interesting. You just duplicate the line, and you said, I want, let's see, what do we want? Square of power? Yeah, power. How about power? The power, you cannot just do that, right? That's not the power. That's not the power. Remember, let's go back to the mass function we learned. Mass. Java mass, yeah. No, Java mass more here. Power, there you go. So we need that. That's how we calculate the power. If we know the base, we need the power. So we should do something like that. So mass POW, first value, and comma, and the second, how do we do that? So second value, first one, that's POW. So hopefully, yeah, that should work. Right? Let me save it. When you make a change to the code, you have to recompile it. Remember how we compile it? Yeah, I want to check any question there. Oh, okay, good. Oh, let me copy that one more time to the chat window in case you want to know the URL. Yep, good. So let's compile it. Maybe when the window a little bigger. So we compile the code. Now let's do a power off. So then now John said, okay, settle divide. Let's do that. So that's almost like a square, right? Not square root, a square of 5. So that should be 5 times 5, that's 25. Let's see if that's the case. Oh yeah, look at that. That worked. So we just call the mass function and calculate the power off. So then, so this is square. Then you can use a cubic. Cubic of 5 times 5 times 5 times 3 times 125. I don't know, 3. That should be 9, right? No, 27. Yeah. 4. I don't know, 6 times 4, 64. Oh, but no. 6, yeah, I think 54. Or 64, yeah. Yep, that's that. Okay, it's about the time. Let's do one more interesting. Do another interesting thing. I don't know what else we can do actually. For these functions, that means the 2, you don't have a 2 value, only 1. So then, this structure won't work. So this one involves 2 values and then operation. So we cannot try that. Yeah. Okay, you got the idea. Okay. All right, then I think it's time, and I'm so glad you stay in the class for the whole term. I hope you will come back to the same class. We will learn something new, more interesting Java stuff. Okay. All right. Have a good break, winter break. All right. See you in next term. Bye-bye, everyone.